the top somehow.
Yes, my Straight Talk family, by now you would know whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time for another edition of Straight Talk. Time for me to say greetings to the entire world, because we are on the World Wide Web. We reach and communicate with you wherever you are around the globe. And I know that some of you are in the Kittitian and the Vision diaspora all around the globe. But we come to you from beautiful St. Kitts and Nevis, one federation or two islands, but one beautiful paradise, as I said to you before. 1 multiplied by 2 equals 1. So we are two beautiful islands and one lovely paradise. And if you're joining me for the first time, I say greetings and welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. And just to inform you that Straight Talk is a public service program that facilitates and promotes free, underline, free expressions on all issues of national interest, be they legal, be they environmental, be they technological, social, economic, and or political issues. On Straight Talk, we do have a forum to express yourselves freely. And we try to raise the level of discourse in the process. We try to raise the level of, we try to raise the level of as I said, discourse. We try to raise the level of consciousness, and we alert our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligations. And my name is Ian Pattis Liburd, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with another opportunity to join you in conversation on yet another occasion. And as your host, I continue to pledge to remain an untiring advocate of truthfulness and to inform you that absolutely nothing is watered down on this program. We do not try to make it more interesting, neither by omission or by exaggeration. We are not about sensationalism or creating excitement, especially at the expense of accuracy, because we always lean on the facts, and it is my duty to present what I always call the unvarnished truth, the plain truth, especially when it comes to good governance, or governance wherever you are in this globe. Because we're joined together with people across the Federation, we're joined together with people around the world, people in the diaspora all around the world. Let me hasten to say good night, St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night to the entire Caribbean region. Good night to you wherever you are in the diaspora. Some of you are in Africa. I know that some of you are in Asia. There's some of you in Europe. And there are a whole lot of you all over North America. So I'm at liberty to say good night. I will say good morning. And I will also say good afternoon, because one of such greetings will be applicable to the region in which you now find yourselves. And some of you we know very well. Some of you we have met. Some of you we will never ever meet physically. Spiritually and otherwise we do. Some of us will agree with the positions of truth advanced on Straight Talk, and some will disagree. That's acceptable. But please don't sadden me by starting to become disagreeable. Let's just thank Almighty God, nonetheless, for helping us to understand, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. So we welcome once again, my people, and thanks for all those who continue to share the link. And for the first timers, let me inform you that Straight Talk is a participative program. By that I mean we include your calls and your emails. And if you're so minded calling, the numbers are on your screens. The numbers are on your monitors there. There's some who like the cloak of anonymity, I call it. And we give you access via our email platform, and that too, the address is on your screens. Those of you who have the Alexa app, we remind you that Alexa brings Straight Talk live thanks to my brother, Massive Vibes Radio. Just say, Alexa, play Massive Vibes Radio. There's some of you who have made donations. I'll never forget that. Donations to support our efforts here on Straight Talk. And to you who did, I say a big, big thank you. I must reassure you that no matter how small your contribution is, it helps to continue. It helps us to continue this very important service. It's a service, a public service. So others who wish to donate can simply scan the code on your screens, on your monitors, to access a very simple payment form. It takes you just over a minute and the process is done. So thank you again for your support. Thank you in advance for your support and for helping us to keep the dialogue alive. I was talking to a friend today and he wonders why I greet my junior brigade. Yes, they are important. Young Dwayne, Tristan, Shamar, Kevin, Rue, Travis, Travon, Jamal, and yes, Neema and Saraya. Also that special lady in St. Louis. But my young brigade are very important to Straight Talk, believe me. We also, as well, bring or begin with our observations in review. That too is an integral part of the program. And following our observation in review, we move to our thesis. And our thesis tonight, I have titled, Palaces for Kings, Not for the ECCB Governor. And after our thesis, we then include your calls. As I say, we allow full participation. Yes, you get an opportunity to have your say. Some believe I should carve out more time for the callers and the emailers. Yes, the emails are really increasing, but we'll see how that works, my Straight Talk family. But our observations for review tonight. Our first observation today, or rather this evening, sometime just after 6 o'clock, a lady called me and said, Patches, I got your telephone number from someone because I just wanted to call to say thank you. You don't know me, she continued, but I'm from Virchilds. And I don't believe you get enough credit, she continued, for the many things you have done in this country and in a short time. But what stands out most for me, she said, is what you did to Old Road Bay. She went on, I remember that morning after one of them hurricanes when me and my husband had to drive via Newton Grong and St. Paul's to get to be walking Bastia, as no traffic could have passed across Old Road Bay, she says in her colloquial parlance. It's raining since last night and all day today and what? We didn't have to worry about no rock falling from the hill across Old Road Bay. And she had me stunned. I'm listening. Then she said, and me a Labour, she said. My whole family vote for Samal. And every time I hear them say that Team Unity ain't do nothing in 7 years, it get me angry, she said. Because me and my family went to work this morning. We drive across Old Road Bay. And we come back from work this evening and we drive back across the same Old Road Bay. So I called to say, thank you again, Patches. And I know I'm talking for thousands of people who pass across Old Road Bay every single day of the week. You know, my Straight Dog family, this lady left me speechless and with teary eyes. Because I was really touched. Because I have a daughter who was born in Old Road. Many of you may not know. I had a brother Doc, they call him, who lived in Old Road. So I had many reasons to use Old Road Bay. And I recall that hurricane the lady referred to. When this happened, or a matter of fact, there were 2 hurricanes that caused this, my Straight Dog family.
In 2017, there were 2 hurricanes, Irma and Maria. And during the process of the passing of these storms, the Old Road Bay was severed. You couldn't pass from Old Road to the other communities to take you into Bastille. And the government mandated Public Works Department to come up with a design, come up with a new build so that this occurrence wouldn't happen again. In addition to that, the design should be such that the rocks from the hillside shouldn't affect the commuters and the pedestrians. Public Works Department engaged the services of ADEB consultants firm out of Jamaica, an engineering firm, and this firm was already on the ground working with us with the Timothy Hill and the Southeast Peninsula Road. We looked at a number of options for the new road. 1, we looked at going over the hill. 2, we looked at going seawards in terms of a bridge. And thirdly, we looked at rock revetment. We had consultation and discussions with the stakeholders, the people from the area, from other government departments. Then we came up with the most feasible design, a design which could stand the test of time with low maintenance. And that one was the rock revetment, which is now under construction.
And that was George Gilbert, the Director of Public Works. I believe, though, George, the 2 hurricanes were Irma and Maria. And the latter, Maria, really did quite a lot of damage to our coastline. To date, the Old Road Bay project has stood the test of time. And I am humbled to have led that project. But while on public works and utilities, I came across the gloating by the so-called engineer Conris, who is the current minister in that particular ministry. And I am certain that this guy, after 3 years almost in the ministry, has not taken time, has not researched the files of the ministry. No doubt that's why his priorities are so mixed up, to put it mildly. But it is the misinformation he provides, like this, that is so disingenuous, my Straight Dog family.
Today, we celebrate a significant milestone for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis with the commissioning of a newly upgraded government quarry. The quarry's output is set to increase by over 300%. This incredible boost in production capacity will ensure that we can meet the demands of future infrastructure projects, avoid costly delays, and most importantly, reduce construction costs. The impact of this upgrade cannot be overstated. The quarry produces aggregates, materials like stone dust, half-inch stones and three-quarter-inch stones that are vital for the production of concrete and masonry blocks. In fact, while many materials used in construction are imported, steel, cement, PVC piping, electrical wires, 50% of the material input for concrete is comprised of aggregates, which we can now produce locally in higher quality and in greater quantities than ever before.
My Straight Dog family, when you look at the so-called engineer, he's in the quarry, lots of dust flying around, but the joker is in his jacket. It tells you the kind of minister he is. But ask yourself, what is the so-called engineer Congress talking about in terms of aggregates and quantities? Because we did the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw runway resurfacing. Resurfaced the taxiways, Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and part of the parking apron. We constructed the Old Road Bay project, which was just referred to, and the Old Road Fisheries project, the complex there, the pier. We constructed the new cruise pier. But where Congress think the aggregates came from? All those armor rocks at the Old Road Bay, the fisheries, and the new cruise pier. Where do you think they came from? The concrete from Contec and SK Masonry, St. Kitts and Nevis Masonry products needed aggregate. Where Congress think the aggregate come from? The aggregate came from the government quarry, and I can inform him that not 1 cubic foot or cubic yard, however you want to quantify it, was imported. Every single drop, every single cubic foot or cubic yard came from the government quarry. So here's my advice to the so-called engineer. Young man, get your priorities in order. The people don't want to hear any BS, any baloney from you about quarry and equipment and supplies. Because I can advise you about the equipment, but I won't. I advised you early and I stopped deliberately. What the people need in this country is a stable electricity supply and water. Water is life. Right around the island, as we speak, water is being rationed daily. Here's the schedule for the entire island. This schedule starts from Bastia, goes right around the country, to St. Paul, to Dieppe, to Sandy Point. Daily, you have been rationing the water. Some people get water 5 hours a day. From the Alois tank, for example. Not one drop during peak hours. Some people get water. Or most people, I should say. Because during the peak hours is when the entire family is home. There's no water to shower or to flush your toilets. So all I'm saying to you, so-called engineer, please get your priorities right and stop politicking. After 3 years, it's time now to deliver. Projects are always coming on the way. Deliver something. My third observation, my Stray Dog family, we have not heard from Director of Public Prosecution, Adlai Smith, about the killing of young Dr. Simonette Williams. You said you got the autopsy report. 2 weeks ago you said that. You said you were reviewing it with the non-resident accident reconstruction expert. So what has the non-resident accident reconstruction expert said after his or her review? It's nigh 2 weeks since we last heard from Director of Public Prosecution Adlai Smith. Straight Talk will not rest until we get the information about the killing of this young doctor. You haven't heard about Milk, neither that singer man, I mark. But as another police matter, there is also a deafening silence from the Commissioner of Police, James Sutton, about the 16 dead bodies retrieved from a vessel that the Defense Force Coast Guard intercepted in the territorial waters of St. Kitts and Nevis. We understand that IDs were recovered from some bodies, and some of the IDs reveal that one or two of the dead persons found on board were from Mali. And if my geography is right, forgive me if I'm wrong, Mali is somewhere in West Africa. But Straight Talk has confirmed that 16 bodies were at the Jenkins Funeral Home for 2 weeks before some were removed to other funeral homes, as there were capacity issues at Jenkins Funeral Home, and some bodies were already in a state of advanced decomposition. The bodies are still in police custody. Am I right to say that? But Straight Talk, nonetheless, have heard nothing further but just to confirm that the 16 bodies, if that was the number, are still lying in some funeral homes. The only one I have confirmed is Jenkins Funeral Home that originally took the 16 bodies. But we will follow this story and these stories nonetheless and keep you informed. But those are my observations in review for tonight, my Straight Talk family. And I'll move right into my thesis, which I have titled, like I said, Palaces for Kings, not the ECCB governor. And without attempting to insult your intelligence, my people, but just for easy reference, I submit that a palace is a large residence that often serves as a royal residence or the home for a king or a queen. Interestingly, the word palace is derived from the Latin name Palatium, for Palatine or Palatine Hill in Rome, which housed the imperial residences, and we can think of the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia, which served as the official residence of the Russian emperors. And I'm almost certain that we all must have heard or read about Buckingham Palace, which is synonymous with the royal family, my Straight Talk family. Buckingham Palace is owned by the British monarchy, but it is held in trust for the nation. The palace is the official residence and administrative headquarters of the reigning monarch, currently King Charles III. But in a nutshell, Buckingham Palace is owned by the Crown, but it is part of the larger structure of the British monarchy's holdings, which are managed for the benefit of the nation. Buckingham Palace has been the official London residence of the United Kingdom's monarchs for nigh 2 centuries, since 1837, believe it or not. It is also the administrative headquarters of King Charles III. It is often used as the venue for many events, receptions, and ceremonies. But enough of Buckingham Palace. And let's get up to date, my professor used to say. Because just 2 days ago, my Straight Talk family, just 2 days ago, the OECS region heard or read about the governor's palace right here in St. Kitts and Nevis, according to the content of a letter signed by Comrade Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this governor's palace is synonymous with Timothy Antoine, the governor of the Eastern Central, or Eastern Caribbean, I should say, Central Bank. In this letter, written to one of his colleagues, my Straight Talk family, Ralph Gonsalves penned this letter to one of his colleagues, the Honorable Gaston Brown, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda. And he penned this letter way back on the 17th of February this year, some weeks ago. And that's his signature to the letter, which was copied to heads of governments or heads of government of member states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. And in the letter, he stated, Ralph wrote, my Street Dog family, as you can glean from your screens, this act, he said, this act of excessive spending is an outrage. If you see that last sentence in the first paragraph, this lack of excessive spending is an outrage, my Street Dog family. And he goes on, my minister's report shocked me to the core. It is an absolute scandal. The member countries of the ECCU surely cannot countenance, that's the last paragraph, an expenditure of at least $22 million on a 10,000 square feet mansion of veritable palace, he says. Proportions, especially at a time when the people of our region are facing huge economic challenges, inclusive of rising food prices and the haunting specter of increased poverty or immiseration. The ECCU cannot afford a governor who has an appetite for such unaffordable opulence, reads that letter. What is scandalous, my Straight Dog family, he writes, is that Timothy Antoine has obviously convinced the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank's board of directors, which he chairs, to spend a whopping $22 million to build himself a new residence, which is palatial, we can say, fit for a king, with grand architecture and a sense of grandeur, my Street Dog family. If you can look for yourselves and see that. My Street Dog family, this palace, Governor's Palace, is just above, not even 100 yards from where Prime Minister Drew resides in Beacon Heights. But my Straight Dog family, like all projects of this magnitude, and with 100% public interest, a higher level of transparency is always anticipated. Not a surprise, therefore, expressions of interest were invited from suitable qualified construction firms. Of course, companies registered in the East Caribbean Currency Union region were all invited. And finally, a shortlist of 4 pre-qualified bidders were made, or was made. The shortlist was made by the Straight Dog family. And again, you can glean from your monitors, by the Straight Dog family, that this shortlist of qualified bidders were also made, like I said, as relates to firms that had the capacity or has the capacity to construct an edifice, a building such as this one, my Straight Dog family. And the firm shortlisted, as you can glean from that central bank letter on your screens, the firms shortlisted are there, my Straight Dog family, for the world to see. And in the event, my Straight Dog family, you are not quite clear on them, the shortlist includes Lennox Warner and partners, my Straight Dog family, Inotech, Kelly Construction, and Mujani Caribbean Limited. And this was dated the 11th of May, 2020. But between 2020 and 2022, there was a revised expression of interest, as again you can glean from your monitors there, written from one or by one Mr. Gordon of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, who is the Super Senior Director of Support Services Management Department. And he has informed that the short listing issued on Friday the 15th May 2020 was more than 2 years ago, has expired. It was restarted in January 2021, and a revised expression of interest was sent to selected contractors in August 2022, my Straight Dog family. Check the dates. Make a note of the dates. Because between 2020 and 2022, there was a revised expression of interest, and prices changed as well. And perhaps that's expected because you had COVID in 2020. But from all accounts, the original budget was $7 million. Yes, hear me. 7 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. So the $1 million question is, how did the budget balloon from 7 million EC dollars to $22 million? How could this be, my Straight Dog family? Impossible. How could this evade the current Monetary Council, comprised of ministers of finance, my Straight Dog family? How could this pass by the Monetary Council that's comprised of ministers of finance? And interestingly, my Straight Dog family, of great interest, I should say, Prime Minister Deacon Michel of Grenada and Prime Minister Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis were the 2 new ministers on the council, One as of June 2022 and the other as of August 2022. But the construction of the governor's palace began in 2023 and should have been completed in 2024. Yes, the construction should have completed by 2024, my Straight Dog family. But things have changed, or things along the way, I should say, changed, my Straight Dog family. But what's interesting, my Straight Dog family, if forensic audit was done, if forensic audit was done in 2024, so we ask ourselves the question, why was a forensic audit done in 2024 by Williams Architecture, my Straight Dog family? Why was an audit done in 2024 by Williams Architecture? And that's a fair question, don't you find? Williams Architecture was commissioned to do a forensic audit, no doubt, by the bank. But ask yourselves the question, my Straight Dog family. Is Victor Williams the owner of Williams Architecture? Is Victor Williams the project manager for the construction of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank's Governor's Palace? My Straight Dog family, the forensic audit states a number of estimates have been converted to actual quotations since the submission of the November forensics report, suggests that another report was done. These are now included and are categorized in the breakdown. The forensic report is prepared on the project and focuses primarily on the project costs and secondarily on the project schedule. And here's the background, which is of interest and should be of interest to all of us. The original design for the governor's house was completed in 2020 with a size of approximately 21,852 square feet and an estimated cost of $15.4 million. The final review of the project scope and size suggested that the scope, size, and budget needed to be reduced. A second design which was a derivative of the first, was developed in 2021. A reduced scope of the work with a 10,000 square foot building and a reduced construction budget of approximately $11 million. It is important to note, it says, that the recommended figure of $11 million was a calculation made by the cost expert, that is the quantity surveyor, or QS, it says. So my Straight Dog family, the then Council of Ministers was not going to countenance a 21,000 square foot residence. Imagine that. But I asked myself the question again. Is Victor Williams of Williams Architecture the project manager for the construction of the ECCB Governor's Palace? And if so, If he is, then we ask, isn't there a conflict of interest? We ask ourselves the question again. Is this the same Victor Williams who was chairman of the Development Control and Planning Board when that house was built on the beach in Frigate Bay? Was he the chairman of the board when that house was built on Frigate Bay, my Straight Talk family? Ask ourselves the question, is this the same Victor Williams who is the project manager for the Robert Llewellyn Bradshaw Museum project? Is this the same Victor Williams who is the project manager for the new Smart Hospital? Is it? We want to know. Is this the same Victor Williams, the project manager for the East Coast Housing Development Project? Is it? The country needs to know. The country also needs to know what is the relationship, if any, between Victor Williams and Prime Minister Terence Michael July. But getting back to the ECCB Governor's Palace, why was there need for a forensic audit? And that's a pertinent question, don't you find? Because a forensic audit as we know it, my Straight Talk family, is a specialized examination of records and operations, most times financial records and operations, often aimed at identifying fraud, misconduct, or financial irregularities. For the ECCB to undertake a forensic audit, my Straight Talk family, it can be necessary for several key reasons. And I read to you the background from that document. But let's go to what is called the tendering process, my Straight Talk family. Let's look at the tendering process, as I said, my Straight Talk family. And when we look at the tendering process, we ask ourselves many questions as well. And the tendering process, you will glean, my Straight Talk family, from your monitors as well, that 4 firms entered bids, my Straight Talk family. It says a thorough analysis of construction documents normally results in a more accurate tender submission. The construction package included the approved working drawings, the project specifications, and the bills of quantities, or the bill of quantities, beg your pardon. The tendering process, it states, commenced in 2022 with submissions from tenders in December of 2022. Things change. The tendering process commenced, as I said, in December of 2022. And the results of the tender or tendering were as follows. Lennox Warner and Partner, a construction period, 550 days. A total bid submission, $14,746,000. Kelly Construction, construction period 540 days. A total bid submission of $20,347,000. My Straight Talk family. Listen carefully. It continued. Clive Evelyn's Construction. Construction period 500 days. Total bid submission $20,500,000. and Peter Jenkins, or Ceres Jenkins Limited, beg your pardon, 602 days. A total bid submission, $21,324,000. These bids, it says, were evaluated based on the budget tabled by the quantity surveyor. In reality, these submissions from the contractors bore no resemblance to the quantity surveyor's $11 million estimate. Imagine that. The quantity surveyor provided an estimate for $11 million by Straight Dog family. So what? Negotiations started according to Williams' architecture. And he says, under normal circumstances, an alarm bell will sound if the difference between the quantity surveyor construction cost estimate and the bidder's submission is so large. However, it was concluded that through negotiation, a workable figure could be achieved. Lennox Warner and Partners submitted a bid of approximately $16 million, which was closest to the quantity surveyor's figure of $11 million, almost 50% more than the quantity surveyor's estimate. Through the process of negotiation, or rather through the process of the negotiation, a figure of $13.9 million was established as the construction cost. You read that for yourselves, my Straight Talk family. At $13.9 million. But was an alarm bell sounded? We asked the question. Was an alarm bell sounded in December of 2022? Was there any detection of fraud or financial mismanagement? What about legal compliance and risk mitigation? What about internal controls and process improvement? What role did the board of directors of the bank, the ECCB, and the council of ministers play or did not play, my Straight Talk family? What about salvage and further protection of the ECCB's reputation? What about the governor's reputation? A career civil servant and economist. And Straight Talk will not judge Timothy Antoine, save and except to say that to err is human. But who are we to judge Antoine? As each of us must appear before the judgment seat of Christ and maybe recompense for the things we have done. Comrade Ralph Gonzalez in his letter has advocated for the removal of the governor. Though last night, my Straight Talk family, on his public radio appearance in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he declined to comment publicly. And he said this, my Straight Talk family.
Government involves knowing when to do certain things in the public space and when not to do them in the public space. These are matters of judgment. If I wanted that matter to be ventilated, publicly in relation to any issue as alleged, I would have already done a public ventilation.
That was Ralph Gonzalez last night. Gonzalez, however, publicly confirmed the veracity of the whole story as he put it. The excessive price tag of the governor's palace, as he called it, my Straight Talk family. He said this.
It is true that there is a dwelling which is being built by the governor, built for the governor, built by the central bank for the governor, where the price tag is wholly excessive and does not reflect a particular level of prudence. And that is a matter on which I was recently advised, and it's a matter on which I have engaged my colleagues, and it is a matter which I am hopeful would be resolved in a manner which is satisfactory for the people of the currency union and also very much the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And it must be as well resolved in a manner acceptable to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. Meanwhile, my Straight Talk family, we submit that palaces are for kings, not for the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank governor. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I'm not going to change it. I'll open the lines and entertain your calls and your emails. And when I do so, I anticipate that we will respect each other. I anticipate that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in the process of doing and saying those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. And don't bury our heads in the sand, because this is a matter that should be a concern to all of us. So tell me what you think. Because if you spend $22 million on one mansion, then the dividends that paid to our countries will be less or reduced by $22 million. The maintenance. And tell me if you agree that we should buy it. I say hell no. No. Neither for Governor General nor for Prime Minister. $22 million. Excessive, according to Ralph. It's 2 minutes before the 9 o'clock hour, and I go to the lines and say good night to my first caller. Caller, you are live.
Good night, Mr. Liburd.
Good night, my dear.
The quotation. Honesty has a power that very few people can handle. I repeat, honesty has a power that very few people can handle. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much. That's a power that very few people can handle. Yes, that's from my famous lady quotation. Always provides a straight talk with a quotation. Gets in pretty early. Very few people can handle. Yes, my Straight Talk family, if you have just joined me, as I said, we are looking at our thesis for tonight, which I have titled Palaces for Kings, Not the ECCB Governor. And Ralph Gonzalez, well known for his forthrightness, he speaks up no matter what you say. And we need more Ralph Gonzalez, perhaps. He said this just last night.
Government involves knowing when to do certain things in the public space and when not to do them in the public space. These are matters of judgment. If I wanted that matter to be ventilated, publicly in relation to any issue as alleged, I would have already done a public ventilation.
Well, he did not want it to be ventilated publicly, but his letter, my Straight Dog family, came to the public's attention. And this email writes, I work at the Tourism Authority, and I believe the minister in charge needs to be aware of an issue concerning the worker Little she transferred from Consumer Affairs to our office. Little is responsible for distributing cleaning supplies to the custodians, nothing more. However, she constantly nitpicks at the custodians simply because they don't sit and chat with her. As someone who works in the office, I've noticed that this is becoming a serious issue. Employees should be able to come to work in a comfortable and professional environment, as workplace conditions greatly impact performance. The custodians deserve to be left alone to do their jobs without unnecessary harassment. Minister March Henderson, I am pleading with you to address this matter. It is unfair that this worker continuously harasses certain custodians while favoring others simply because she socializes with them. She even covers for those she favors when they call out sick from work, leave the work premises, etc. This kind of behavior is fostering a corrupt and toxic work environment. I urge you to take action because this is not right. These custodians are hard-working adults, ensuring the cleanliness of the property, yet they are being treated like animals, all because of this little. Imagine we are witnessing these nonsense daily and cannot say anything and report because we might be victimized. This needs to stop. Immediately reads this email. My Straight Talk family, this other email reads, the snake on his show last night once again launches incessant attack on Harris with his usual lies. I want to let the snake know in no uncertain terms that Harris is not your problem right now, but Dr. Drew is. Harris has never treated you with such utter disrespect as what you are receiving from Drew. With all the big mouth you have, you dare not challenge Drew. That during your 7-year tenure in the last administration as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Aviation, you did nothing substantial to enhance your ministries. Your flimsy excuses is that you were outside in the yard. You should be made to pay back the 7 years' salary you received on your own admission for not working for it. Patches is the only one who seemingly feel your deep sorrow that up to now, Drew has not even given you a copy of the World Bank Fair Share Report. Others are of the opinion that Jew is right to continue treating you like a dog, why he never consulted with you before he reduced the VAT from 17 to 13%, despite the fact that you had already passed the NIA budget at the initial 17%. Now he has you scrambling to return to the Nevis Assembly to readjust your budget. Only a dog and snake withstand that kind of treatment. Remember you said that Jew and you are so close and thick that there is no sunlight between both of you. You're really looking company, boy, with Jew. Reads this email. I'm trying to get my emails under control. My Street Dog family, bear with me, could you? Good night, Brother Patches. Read this email. Patches, I have been in the construction business for over 30 years as a building contractor, and I have never experienced anything like this before. Patches, I got many workers employed with me who depend on my construction company, getting jobs for them to support their families. Patches, what is happening presently is that my company and many other contractors cannot get work at a particular government-owned hotel in the north side of the island any longer. The reason is that in order for any contractor to get any work, there is that they must first agree in a secret meeting with the head accountant and the head of engineering that every week when we invoice on the Monday for payment to come through on the Friday, that they will all tell us that we must double and sometimes even triple the amount on the invoice, depending on how they tell us to do it. Then after we collect the check on the Friday and we take out the amount from the original invoice, then the balance, either the head accountant or the head engineering man will tell us where to meet them personally to give them the lump sum of money. They tell us that the money they were collecting from us was to go back to the accountant for them to buy building materials for us to work with, because the government wasn't funding the project anymore. So we do it just to get the work. After a while, Patches, a couple of us contractors start to feel that some kind of bubble are going on, so we refuse to give up the last set of money to them, and ever since that time, they refuse to give us any more work there. Only contractors, beg your pardon, who still agreeing to give them the money from the change of the invoices is allowed to work there. To tell you the truth, Patches, I was glad to hear the Prime Minister say today in his press conference that in a couple of weeks' time, they will have an audit done at Kitchen Hill. I encourage Meshach Alford and the new board at Kitchen Hill and also the Contractors Association to look into this practice and bring it to an end and bring all responsible to justice, so every qualified contractor can get a work in this country. Have a good night, Patches, and thank you very much. Read this email. It's 8 past the 9 o'clock hour, my Street Dog family. And if you have just joined me for the first time, we are tonight looking at our thesis, as I titled the thesis, Palaces for King, not the ECCB governor. Reads my thesis title. Patches, good night. Reads this other email. Please keep up the sterling work you are doing. Prime Minister Jew has contributed to and sanctioned this good, awful mansion mess. Cannot now try to bury it by having the Federation buy this corrupt edifice. If Prime Minister Jew wishes to prompt the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to go to the streets in mass protest, I think that should read, then he would move to acquire this nasty asset with our public money. Be careful. Be careful. Dr. Joe reads this email. My Straight Dog family, this other email reads, good evening, Patches. I had a very terrible experience today that I can't stop thinking about. As I was walking along Wellington Road with my 10-month-old baby, the rain suddenly came down hard. I was drenched, trying to shield my baby from the downpour, when a good Samaritan stopped to offer me a lift. But he quickly told me he couldn't help because of the new child car seat law. He said he wasn't willing to risk the $500 fine for transporting a child without the proper seat. As I was left there soaking wet, with no other option but to continue walking with my 10-month-old shivered in the cold rain. It was devastating. Did Dr. Drew and Garth Wilkin even stop to think about this when they hurriedly passed the child seat law? Did they consider the everyday struggles of mothers trying to protect their children? Or did they simply push through a law without caring to consult the public, without considering the real impact on families like mine? And why is that public buses can carry mothers and babies without a second thought, but private citizens can't? What is the difference, Patches? Why are we left out in the cold while the government pretends to care? Sincerely, a mother left in the rain. I'll entertain some calls now, my Straight Talk family, for those of you who may be waiting patiently. I have not ignored your calls, but I was trying to juggle the emails and the calls at the same time, so I'll open the lines at this time. Again, they're always open, but if you call and have to hold for a few seconds or a minute or so, just bear with me and understand that, we do entertain our emailers as well, as they, just like you, and also the viewers and listeners, they are the ones, you all, rather, I should say, are the ones who make Straight Talk. My overseas line is uncharacteristically quiet as well tonight, so let me, in the meantime, check it to make sure that it's up and running. I didn't have the time to do that. I am awfully sorry that I did not apply the time, or it is functioning, so need not worry. But this email again in the meantime reads, I had the misfortune of visiting the JNF hospital today, and the experience left me deeply shaken. As I entered the parking lot, the sheer number of cars parked there was impossible to miss. It was clear that the hospital was overflowing with visitors, which meant only one thing. My Straight Dog family, the wards were packed with patients. And what I saw when I reached the ward, Patches, was nothing short of disturbing. The atmosphere was heavy with despair. The faces of patients told stories of exhaustion, confusion, and defeat. It was as though the very life had been drained from them. One patient even told me that the hospital was critically understaffed, with many local nurses resigning. All that was left were a handful of Filipino and Cuban nurses trying their best to hold things together, but clearly overwhelmed. Here's the thing, Patches, what do you expect from a bag of coals but dust? What do you expect when Curtis Martin, a man with no medical background, is giving instructions to nurses? The chaos at JNF is no accident. It's a direct result of failed leadership. Dr. Joe boasted about being a smart hospital, but it seems smart went on vacation. How can we expect proper care when the very people tasked with running the hospital have no clue what they're doing. The horror I witnessed today is the reality of Dr. Drew's vision for healthcare. Read this email. Yes, my straight dog, is 14 past the 9 o'clock hour. I'll dedicate now, some time since I've got those emails down. Let me dedicate and some time, as long as you're coming in. I know when I put you on hold, some people just don't want to even hold for a second, but I understand. Perhaps it's the cost, and we have to look at costs in every area today. So let me spend some more time and focus again on the calls at this time. If you have joined me belatedly, we looked at our thesis in particular. As we said, palaces for kings, not for the ECCB governor. And we also brought to the fore, my straight dog family, some very troubling matters. And we brought to the fore the issue as it relates to a forensic audit that was done in 2024, a forensic audit in reference to the ECCB governor's residence. As Prime Minister Gonzalez put it, the ECCB governor's palace, he called it. And that's palatial, don't you find, my straight dog family? That's palatial. And we ask ourselves, how on earth that Dr. Drew, who is a member of the Council of Ministers on the Central Bank, never made one mention about this excessive spending, as Ralph Gonzalez put it. $22 million for one man's residence. That can't be. That can't be acceptable. Could it be? How could this evade the current Monetary Council, comprised of ministers of finance? Didn't they care? Didn't they care about it, my straight dog family? They had to care about it. We looked at the pre-qualification, as I said. We also looked at the scandalous costs as referred to by Prime Minister Gonzalez. But when we look at the governor's palace, and I said this governor's palace, just like Buckingham Palace is synonymous to King Charles III, this governor's palace is synonymous with Timothy Antoine of the Central Bank. And Brown, or rather Gonzalez in the letter, wrote, this act of excessive spending, he said, this act of excessive spending is an outrage. It shocked me, he said, shocked me to the core. It is an absolute scandal, my straight dog family. And when we look at what happened, in terms of pre-qualification and shortlisting, wow, we want to know, why is our country being managed the way it is being managed? I'll take some emails. Did you hear Samuel Duggins today, Patches, at the press conference? No, I didn't. I plan to really listen back today or later tomorrow. And so I didn't want to have it piecemeal but I'll analyze it. But I heard I heard July made a comment today. I won't mention it now, but I'm sure it passed over many people's head. But he claims, said this email, that the Kim Collins Stadium would not be ready for the inter-school sports. I expected that because there was too much rain. I couldn't help but shake my head, especially when you compare this to what Dr. Drew and Congress are saying about the climate situation. They have been insisting that we will experience climate change. We are experiencing climate change, beg your pardon, and that the people of St. Kitts are suffering because there's not enough rain, having us without potable water. Patches, these two narratives simply can't coexist. How can they say that the reason we are without water is because of the lack of rain, yet turn around and use the rain as an excuse for why a major stadium can't be ready for a school event? They can't have it both ways. Either we are dealing with climate change-induced drought, or we're experiencing unpredictable weather extremes, but they are contradicting each other at every turn. The horror of citizens scrambling for water, collecting it from puddles, or waiting days for a drop to fall from their taps, while officials make excuses for the very same rainfall, is an outrage. It's time for them to pick a lie and stick with it. The public is starting to see through the confusion, and the longer they play this game, the more ridiculous it becomes. They have put themselves in an untenable position, and I can't help but wonder if they realize just how embarrassing this is. I want to thank this caller for holding. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller?
Yes, good night, Mr. Patches. How are you tonight?
I am peaceful, my brother. Yourself?
Oh, that's nice to know. Nice to see you again on the broadcast of television
Nice to see you
and
as well.
internet.
Nice to hear
And
you
to
as
hear
well.
that, same thing to you, to hear that powerful voice, that bionic voice, the messenger, political messenger. I always wish Labour had something like that in the past, I think we'd have been in a better condition today, like your voice,
I'm listening.
But
brother.
I'm here, Patches. What you're talking about, we came to a very alarm of my mind when I saw that massive structures on the internet yesterday. Someone sent it in on the WhatsApp, and I do a little research on it. I do some investigation. A person who worked for the central bank, and one individual told me that was in progress for a while, but because they were just renting so many houses, I think one house with about so many windows, and the last person was not satisfied with that place that they were, and they decided to build their own structure, which was in progress for so long. But the alarming thing, Patrick, how much of that money spent in St. Kitts? There was builders came in to construct that building, or there was local persons who construct that building.
It's a local contractor, yes.
Local contractor, but because someone was educating me that place have been bulletproof glass and bulletproof windows and all those stuff, and bulletproof rooms and all this stuff, so a lot of the money spent up in all those serious, security, But it's nice to see that, a lot of that money can spend in the country. I hope a lot of that money spent there from the central bank, and not that they're bringing all the material from overseas. I hope not. But the structure is very expensive. I mean, so much $millions of dollars. That could has done so much for the Caribbean islands, the poor people in the Caribbean islands, It's really, I don't know how to describe it, how to answer it, but it's vanishing to my mind, I wish I had to get part of that, man. Serious, to do some plumbing work. I might have been healthy today.
So you think that's a reasonable cost for a residence? That's what you're saying?
No, Mr. Patrick. It's the abuse of the people money, Patrick. It's the abuse of the people money.
Let's try to make certain that I was understanding you,
Yes. And Joe in Joe press conference today, he tried to duck away from it.
He ducked away.
Yeah, he tried. I listened to his press conference, and he tried to duck away from it. But there should be an answer for that, according to Gomzal,
Mm-hmm.
We need to get some clarify information. Why the building costs so much? The structure costs so much. And there are people dying with sicknesses, cancers, need help. There are people that need homes, proper homes to live in. The central bank is part of St. Kitts, part of the Caribbean islands, and they've been paying heavy rent for so long. Heavy rent for so long. Now, nice to know the bill of place, but the cost is too high, Mr. Patrick. And that's my 2 pence on that. Until anything else came to my mind, I will call you back. Have a good night, sir.
Have a good night as well. And thank you for your contribution as usual. And just for information, though, the central bank own a property at its residence around Fort Lands for years. Dwight Venner lived there. I vaguely recall when it was Echo. What was that gentleman's name? Mr. Jacobs, I think is his name. He also lived there, and Dwight Venner lived there for ages. Nice view over the Bastille Harbor. That house there, one of those old English style, English architecture, I think it is. So they in fact had their own property, which I am advised was sold by this, or under this present governor, was sold for $5 million or $6 million. And they went about constructing this palace as Gonzalez rightly said. But what can take it from $11 million to $21 million is everybody's guess, everybody's question. Why? What can really escalate that cost? You saw the excerpts of the forensic report. But we wonder, what sort of conflict situation it has to be if Williams Architecture, owned by Victor Williams, if he is, we're told he is the project manager, seemed to manage every project in St. Kitts. He's the golden boy of project management for some reason. But how can he manage the project and still at the same time present that report? But let's go back to the lines at 9:27. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller?
Yes, that is good night. I'm not a regular listener to your program, but I don't know if you have ever spoken about, you seem to be a supporter of the PLP party. That's what it seems like to me. How come I never hear you address why all these persons who ran for, some of the persons who ran for PLP in the last election, why they affected from the party, why the chairman left? How come you never address those, that situation where you find time to talk about other things?
Well, I don't even think I should respond to you to add credence to your proposition, because your premise is faulty. First of all, you say you seem to be. I seem to be. I'm not a member of the PLP, and the PLP has its executive, has its leadership, and their leadership can defend.
Okay, Patrick, okay, you're not a member, but you're a supporter. You are a supporter, you're not a member, you're a supporter.
You call me to argue tonight, or we're gonna have a...
Well, all you gotta do is hang up your phone. All you gotta do is let me on the phone. It's simple as that.
No, I'm asking. Now we can have a discussion. See, you hang up now, you see? That's what I talk about the Mark Twain theory. I really should have applied the Mark Twain theory from the beginning, because... So you are coming to the program and you tell me what I am. I am Patches. and you have a right to raise what you want to raise, and I have that right. If people deflected from the PLP, so be it. I mean, people deflected from the Labour Party, and they went back. That's nothing new in terms of parties and deflection. That's something that's part of politics. You've seen it happen in the US with people deflecting from the Democratic Party and vice versa. So it's nothing new in politics, whoever you are, young man. So if you have an issue, the fact is that if the issues I advance on Straight Talk are not factual, then I will have an issue. But I am saying that, and we're talking tonight about the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank's governor's residence. And if you are saying that the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank should construct a residence for $22 million, one residence, if you are saying that is all right, then fine. You make that point. I can't be mad with you if that's the way you feel. If you are saying that July is doing well, then fine. But the whole country will laugh at you because Dr. July is not doing well. Right? As a matter of fact, a big Labour man told me the other day that Labour is green. So are you part of Green Labour or not? Caller, thank you for holding your line. Hello, caller?
Machel.
That sounds like the major. How about those? So,
I'm good. I did not get the thesis properly, right?
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to just give me a heads up on it, and I wanted to find a question on that.
The thesis is titled "Palaces for Kings," not the ECCB governor.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. So okay, I understand. So what will be the reward? What will be the reward if he got for the king, no, the governor? What will be the reward?
What will be the reward if he what?
You said that what is the reward in that? If he came for the king, now for the king or whatever you say it is?
No, he's not. The king. Well, I don't know if you're aware. Have you been following the media in recent days? When a letter from written by Ralph Gonzalez was obviously leaked to the media, confidential letter, where he spoke about the cost of the construction of the new governor's residence, which he referred to as a palace.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've met Comrade Ralph, right?
Yes, I get it. Yeah, I get
and he said this. These are his words. He said, "This act of excessive spending," referring to the $22 million.
Yeah.
I'm telling you about $22 million on one house, for a governor and his wife. And I don't know if they have children, right? And he went on to say, it shocked me to the core. It shocked him to the core then. And he said it's an absolute scandal. So that is where it came from. So I don't know about rewards. I mean, that should be, I don't know how to dispose of that, quite frankly, I'm thinking. But not even our Senkis government should buy it, as suggested by Ralph Gonzalez. Perhaps one of your rich friends can buy it, Major.
That is true. Well, you see, I didn't follow it up to that thing,
Okay.
But from what I will know, well, if I have to, if it is a reward, I am trying to deal with.
Uh-huh.
If I see a reward, I am trying to deal with it. I will say that we never know. I will say that we never know how high we are till we are called to rise. You know what I mean? We never know how high we are until we are called to rise. And then, if we are true to the plan, if we are true to the plan, our statue will touch the sky. Understand that? You understand that? Because only them, when you said these only for kings and do whatever, I didn't get the thing properly. Was I just, it's just
the palaces. I made the point in my yes, because that is what Ralph Gonzalez referred to the residence as a palace.
Yeah.
All right. And you know, well, your pap just joined me, so I growing up, you all learned about, heard or read about Buckingham Palace, and you were at Buckingham Palace.
I've been there.
Been to Buckingham Palace, right? And the point is that Buckingham Palace is synonymous with the British royal family.
Sure.
You know, so it is owned by the British monarchy, but it's held in trust for the nation. This governor's residence is owned by the public, by the countries, the countries of the currency union. It's a public edifice building. You know, so this is what caused the outrage.
Yeah.
To spend $22 million on one residence.
Why that's a lot of money? That is what's right. You see, this is. I don't understand what's going on. That is why I'm saying that when I go to Buckingham Palace, that is the Queen or whoever governor, whoever. So we have the next governor. Suppose tomorrow morning we have. So therefore the other governor. I don't know what's going to happen now. This is a confusion. You don't consider it to be a confusion, Captain.
Why do you think it's happening? Why do you think it's happening this way, though? I mean, that's not what we how we came up, you know. I mean, values are just being washed down the drain, you know. I mean, you know, it's really hard to follow. Really, really hard to follow.
This is what I did. He got the brain. He got the brain tangled up here, man. And that is why the little that I know, as I say, I thought, that's a lot of money, patches. $22 billion?
Of course.
But I will be the abstract where you're talking about.
No, not at all. It's fact. Okay.
It's a fact.
It is a fact. It is a fact.
Yeah,
it moved from an estimate of $11 million to 22.
Boy, that's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Of course. Of course.
And we say we never know. As we say, we never know how we will rise.
Well,
we will never know how we will rise.
You said you went to Buckingham Palace, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It has over 700 rooms, 92 offices, and 78 bathrooms.
Okay.
And people, staff live there. Staff live at Buckingham Palace, you know.
Sure.
I don't know if he'll have staff at his house as well, and how many rooms are in that. So it's very interesting, you know. And
it is interesting. It's very interesting.
We have to take it seriously because it affects us. It affects us.
Yeah.
Nice to hear. Nice to hear you, Major. Have yourself a good night. Fall out.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much. That's Major Jones. Always contributes to the program, and he missed it. And some of you may have missed it as well. And this is what Ralph Gonzalez said about the palace, the governor's palace, he called it.
It is true that there is a dwelling which is being built by the governor, built for the governor, built by the central bank for the governor, where the price tag is wholly excessive and does not reflect a particular level of prudence And that is a matter on which I was recently advised, and it's a matter on which I have engaged my colleagues. And it is a matter which I am hopeful would be resolved in a manner which is satisfactory for the people of the currency union, and also very much the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And yes, it affects we, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis as well. Patches, St. Kitts' Mumu decision to side with the US against Russia at the United Nations was a Bamanku and disastrous mistake, one that offers absolutely no benefit to the country. Unlike Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, which wisely abstained from picking sides in a conflict that doesn't serve their interests, Dr. Joe continues to make poor decisions that entangle St. Kitts in geopolitical struggles with no return. This blind loyalty to Washington reads this email, despite the US's damaging policies toward the region, shows Dr. Drew's lack of diplomatic wisdom. He won't learn from others' cautious stances and risks from isolation for St. Kitts. When would Harry learn? My straight dog family. Let's go back to the lines at 9:41. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Are you there, caller? Okay, we seem to have... Okay, we're not hearing that caller there. Let's go back to take this call. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Patrick, sorry to call back your show, but this topic is very interesting, you know?
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry, my brother.
Yeah, I mean, I think I heard the Prime Minister said today that the decision is part of the Eastern CARICOM Central Union decision to build such a structure. Who are the person who are part of the governance of the Eastern CARICOM Central Union? Mr. Gumzar is part of it, because is it amazed that he's just waiting till now to find out the situation? There's so many exploitation of money spent on one building, and he's part of the CARICOM, you know? Why? And a bidding had to go out. That cost of bidding had to be, you know, exposed to their mind, had to come with a real reality to their mind.
Well, here's how it is, my brother. The central bank consists of, I think it's 10 members, right?
Right.
In OECS independent countries plus Anguilla and the BVI and some others, but I think it's 10. And the ministers of finance are members of the Council of Ministers, but there's also a board of directors, right? And Gonzalez got information. He served on the council for almost 15 or 16 years when he was Minister of Finance. And it was brought to his attention according to his letter. And he figured it was outrageous. So no one can tell me, and then you cannot convince me, so if he can convince you, that he was not aware that this palatial building, this palace was being built because just above him. And he must have asked the question as a minister on the council. He is a minister on the council. And to tell me that he'll turn a blind eye to construction of a building for $22 million. $22 million. As Gonzo has said, it shows it demonstrates a lack of prudence, fiscal prudence, he called it. And that is so true.
Right.
That's the point. Right. I hope I explained that to you.
Yes, it's very good. I understand you very well.
Thank you.
And, you know, your sentiment is very taken. I'm just asking questions to gain knowledge. I am not being, trying to create a revolution, but just to create knowledge in my mind, because that's the type of person I am, you know. Sometimes I create a revolution to gain knowledge, but not in a rough way, you know. So, so don't take me wrong sometimes, you know. I'm a curious person, you know.
That's fine. That's fine. Okay, my brother. Thanks.
Yes, so have a good night. Thank you, brother.
Have a good night as well. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, are you there?
Good night.
Mr. Bibleman,
the Bibleman is here.
I believe
the Bibleman is here, Captain.
I believe I saw this number come just now. I was saying hello.
Yeah, here, listen here.
I was saying hello, and they didn't hear.
Psalm 49, Captain.
Psalm 49.
Psalm 49, get it clearly.
The one, something.
Verse 7 and 8.
49, Psalm 49.
Hear the word of God, said Captain. None of them can redeem his brother, nor give his soul, nor give his to God, to give God a ransom for him. Verse 8, for the redemption of their soul is precious, and it feeds forevermore. No, Patrick, I am not going to stay too long. You know what God is saying there, Patrick? Nobody will give God a ransom for nobody. Every jackman had to stand up for themselves. Mm-hmm. And here say in 8 verse, for his soul, the redemption of his soul is precious. The inner man is precious. So when people, Mr. Patel, in this life that we are living, and I can tell you something, this I last thing I'm going to say. And if you read Psalm 49, right down to the end, here it says, don't swear, don't get fussy, don't go on bad when a man gets rich. He said when he dies, he carried nothing away with him. That is the part I want to say. No care what the silver ground with. I whip off the poor people. They can't carry nothing. So you hear what I'm saying to you, Mr. Patton? They can't carry one blessed thing. So the word of God says, do not afraid when a man get rich. I did say you good night.
Thank you very much, the Bible man, for your intervention. I normally try to follow you with the Psalms. That I must confess that Psalm 49 stumped me tonight. But my Straight Talk family, I will, my lines are open. It's now 11 before the 10 o'clock hour. Let me dispense of these emails again. And again, my lines are still open. Good night, Patches reads this email. A bird picked me ears today and tell me things not going well for the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. It's hard to disagree. I hear that the Trinidad company, which was supposed to build 2,400 houses, has pulled out of St. Kitts. Patches may want to laugh, but heck, lol, reads this email. When Dr. Drew was asked about it today, he shamefully mumbled that in governments there are disappointments, but not a word about transparency or accountability. Remember when Garth Wilkins said the contract with the company was bulletproof? Looks like they get set up by, and now they're left scrambling. A good laugh reads this email. This other email reads, the ECCB mansion scandal raises serious questions about leadership, oversight, and accountability. As chairman of the OECS Monetary Council, Dr. Terence Drew had a duty to ensure financial prudence. Yet this $22 million expenditure slipped through under his watch. The people deserve answers, and silence is not an option. Here are some of the questions that demand clarity. What steps did Dr. Drew take, if any, to review or question the $22 million ECCB mansion project? I'll get back to that, caller. Thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Good night. Yes, good night, Brother Patches. Good night, all listeners.
Good night, my brother.
Greetings in the name of the Lord, and I send you my blessings. Thank you for allowing me. Patches, I am going back, I don't know, 1 or 2 shows ago. I made an commentary in respect to PAM candidate, Mr. Azad Gums, due to the fact that sometimes we got information, and when information hit the waves, the airwaves, there is some kind of exaggeration. And I made commentary to Azad as if there was some trouble in the camp of PAM. But as a man getting correction, it was a misunderstanding that I made in my commentary due to the fact that the information that was sent out, transferred, was wrong. So I am standing up to make my correction and my apologies in respect to the PAM camp, and where it sounded like Azad had trouble in PAM, and I made mention for independent. But I am apologizing, and I stand up when I'm wrong, and a man cannot be wrong and strong. So those who make comment and they are way off the truth, contrary, every man should stand up and make the apologies. So, Mr. Azad, to the leader of PAM, Mrs. Shani, I'll say Shani, you know what I mean. I make my apologies on the air, and I stand up like a man. The information that I got was not correct, so I get the correct version. So, hope that one will understand that I apologize for such. I have no grievance with PAM in respect to what's going on in their camp. But sometimes the truth is hard to find. And we weigh in on it and not knowing that it was not so. But thanks for allowing me. So I apologize to PAM and their party and their candidate, Mr. Azad, the corrections that I was given. Thank you for that. Bye for now.
Thank you for your maturity as well. Don't recall what you said nonetheless, but least you were mature enough to exercise or demonstrate some humility, my dear brother. Let me, at 6 before the 10 o'clock hour, continue this email. Here are some pressing questions that demand clarity. What steps did Dr. Drew take, if any, to review or question the 22 million ECCB mansion project? Was Dr. Drew fully informed about this expenditure, or was key information withheld from him and other leaders? Should the public be concerned that such a major financial decision was made without clear public disclosure? Given the role of the OECS Monetary Council, does this incident suggest a failure in oversight? How does Dr. Drew respond to concerns that the Council under his leadership did not act swiftly to prevent this level of spending? Did the ECCB bypass normal financial protocols in approving such a costly project? Would the public have ever known about this expenditure if Prime Minister Gonzalez had not raised concerns? Now that Dr. Drew is no longer chairman, should there be an independent review of financial decisions made under his tenure? Does Dr. Drew believe the Monetary Council needs stronger transparency measures to prevent similar issues in the future? How can the public be assured that future financial decisions will be handled with greater scrutiny and accountability? These are the questions that must be answered. The people of St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider OECS region deserve full transparency on how their financial institutions are being managed. Read this email. This other email. Good night, Patches. The clowns are at it again. Patches into school coming up soon again, and no stadium. So straight back to Nevis, we gone again, it seems. My thing is, Samal had a whole year and some to complete the track and stadium so that it can be ready and in use this year. What I think is all the schools and parents need to boycott this year and not send their students or their kids to participate at all. Things not going well. The whole circus no ready yet. Caller, you are live. Hello, caller.
Hi.
Hello, caller.
Hi, good night.
Good night, my dear.
Coaches, good night. Marsha here.
How are you, Marsha? I don't recognize your voice these days. What are you doing with your voice?
I'm here on the land of the living and giving God thanks as well.
Good to hear you.
Coaches, before I get into what I called to say, I want to tell the last caller a special good night to him. And a couple shows back, I make to understand that he sent his number, but if he can kindly send it back for me, or I can, if he's listening, I know he's listening. My number is 764-0474. He know the person from overseas. Could you kindly add me on WhatsApp? Thank you. Okay, Patches. Now I just want to shed some light on what you said earlier, because I'm here lying down in my bed and I'm listening to, as usual. The bodies, some of the bodies was taken. You said some of the bodies that came in on the boat, the dead bodies, some of them was decomposed, and some of them was taken to Jenkins. I don't think that's a wise idea. The government, the Coast Guard or whoever found them on the water, they should have wheeled them right back, because I make to understand that other countries where they docked in, they push them out the water. So I don't think that, and something is changed about that boat, Patches. I'm just watching it and monitoring it. Okay, and Patches, I want to say good night, a special good night to my Prime Minister, Dr. Timothy Harris, who I love to the moon and back. And I just want to tell him that I'm still here and advise him to continue doing the great work he is doing. Patches, I also want to tell you to get home safe. And I want to let you know that what you've done for this Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, it's not gone to the north. People are talking about you all over the Caribbean, all over the world. People are talking about you, especially the Old Bay project. So, and the stoplights. So I want you to continue doing what you are doing. And my prayer for you that you should pick up your boxing gloves and you go right in the bullring again, because you are yet young, you have strength, You have strength, and I think that a man like you in the government seat as a minister of government, come next election next year, you will do a great job. Patches, good night. Get home safe. I might call back in if I get you, but get home safe and you have a blessed, blessed, blessed night. Love your Patches, my cousin, and have a best night. Caller from overseas, could you kindly take my number and add me on WhatsApp? We have to talk. My number is 764-0474. Patches, get home safe, and God bless you. May the Lord grant to your desire of your heart for 2025 and 2026 and beyond. Have a good night, Patches.
Have a good night, dear cuz. Masha, I love you more. Good night, Mr. Liburd. Reads this email. I am to report that work has resumed on the island main road at the start of Verchiles. But I have another issue. The island main road going from east to west and west to east have larger potholes. If you're not careful, you can get in an accident or blow out a tire. Reads this email. This other email reads, call, I'll get to you right now. The fashion minister has failed in housing and also failed in education. None of those portfolios is thriving under his watch. And after 31 months, what does he have to show? The teachers waiting on the New Deal he promised. All the schools are in a mess. For example, Washington Archibald High School, Patches, windows are broken out, windows missing, and I'm sure that's not the only school. Throughout the whole school year, half the year is set for the forming the fool. That's why students not learning much, because too much off days. And every minute is some dressing up activity. So where is the time to teach and learn? The public still is yet to see 600 houses to be built in a year. Now over 2 years gone and only 2 completed houses, while a few others are in the construction phase. I don't think he understands yet what he is to do. Caller, thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Mr. Liburd, man. Good evening, man, to you and the listening public.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Me too. Quickly want to chime in on that Azad Gum situation. I did also make some misleading statement on that. I think that's two shows ago. I didn't get in on the last show, so I'm coming in tonight, and there was some misleading information in the public that didn't get clarified until I talked to Azad Gums himself directly. So I was able to talk to him directly and get the correct information and, put that apology out direct to him. So he was also under his show. Let me put in a small plug for him. Azad Gums, he's on the Win FM Sunday evenings. I think that's 7:30 to 8:30. He got a talk show on that radio station there locally. So Azad, man, keep your head up, and we are thankful to get that clarity, and best luck going forward. Yeah, Patches, man. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. That mansion. When I saw that mansion on the screen, I thought, Michael Jordan must have moved in and invested heavily in Sinkis and Nevis, or LeBron James. It's funny. It's funny to see that such a big spread. So, Patches, let me ask you a quick question. That mansion is in Sinkis. It's built in Sinkis, right? Up in the Beacon Hills, right?
Yes, Beacon Heights, yeah.
Beacon Heights, sorry. And why did it take the prime minister of another island to bring that forward instead of our own prime minister?
Very good question, because it's just above him where he's living.
I mean,
he must have seen it.
This mansion, it's like as if this mansion was built in St. Vincent, where that other leader is talking from. There we go with the non-transparency.
Yep.
The class system
I don't know if the class system went anywhere in St. Kitts and Nevis, but it's definitely is back. If it went anywhere, it's back. If it didn't go anywhere, well, the class system is in full effect in St. Kitts and Nevis. The place is rapidly becoming like South Africa under apartheid. The local people, I'm sorry for them. I'm real sorry for the locals there. Local people, the working class, they're not able to go to work, make enough money to at least buy a little plot of land for their own families. And, you know, that structure, that mansion that you put up on the screen, to me, is quite evident of the corruption that's in that little two islands called St. Kitts and Nevis. The Caribbean, wider Caribbean, and the whole, being that this mansion is being built for, you said, the governor of the ECCB.
Yes.
So definitely, in my opinion, if I could get the people of St. Kitts Nevis to just go in the street and protest and show these people who really got the power, I would be protesting against any project that's supposed to be coming down the pipeline. I'll be protesting to stop all of them. You know why? As the projects come and the projects are getting bigger and bigger and the money is getting bigger and bigger, instead of us curbing the corruption, going forward, the corruption is going to get bigger and bigger. Okay. You see what you mentioned tonight? There was this one specific person who is managing all these different projects. The money is going into these people's hands only. It's not trickling down to the working class. But, you know, I like to talk about all the time.
Yes.
But in my mind, man, our leaders don't have no integrity. They're selling out the place and they're not representing the people that put them there. They gave themselves a big fat raise, and now to them, performance don't matter. But the election could be called less than 2 years from now. On top of the Nevis side, if that opposition party over there don't get their act together and restructure, they're going to keep getting defeated. I made a comment the other day. Somebody, you know, responded. NRP needs to restructure.
Okay.
You see what happened with the Labour Party? They were quickly 30 seconds patches. The Labour Party in the last election were able to barely squeak through with their restructuring. And you see what they landed in government. That's all what I'm saying. And I'm just trying to get the corruption stamped out. And if that corruption don't get stamped out, well, we're just going to keep sucking salt from the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis.
Okay, my brother.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man.
Thanks a lot for your contribution as well. I'm running out of time. This email reads, I'm retired senior civil servant. And I can tell you, when this ECCB residence matter was briefly mentioned to the Monetary Council, the then St. Kitts Prime Minister Harris told them they need to go back to the drawing board because the cost was too exorbitant. But unfortunately, he lost office, and so they brought it back apparently as he was no longer there. Had Harris been Prime Minister, this embarrassing fiasco would not have taken place. Reads this email. Hello, Patches. Tonight I'm wondering if you would be kind enough to explain something for me, as I would like you to clear the air as best for me because I am confused. I have been hearing that we would be getting some smart meters, but it seems as though everything is smart in the Federation. I would like to know if you would be in a position to explain just how the system would work. Please let me know as I'm lost. In regard to the $22 million palace, I am sucked to the core, as Ralph said, and I would suggest that the palace be put for sale, offering citizenship to the purchaser. The palace is costing $22 million and the furniture has not yet been purchased. The cost of maintaining the upkeep of the yard is another hard medicine to swallow. What would you suggest that they do with this palace? Because it is a shame and disgrace, and it is questionable because it's our money, and some of us cannot even pay our bills. Have you seen the pictures of the 3 persons who are wrapped up in the big $22 million mess? An upset senior citizen. What next? Reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, the bunch of misfits in government held their press conference today. It was like watching a comedy show, a set of jokers and liars. Incompetent Samal is blaming the rain for the stadium not to be finished. The stupid guy Samal had a whole year to fix the problems at the stadium. Remember last year the inter-school championship had to be held over in Nevis, and it seems that might be the case again. These greedy ministers in government increased their salaries by 35%, and they are not working for the people, just flying out of the country all the time. A set of greedy, worthy vagabonds. One told me just a few days ago, some days ago, that they work abroad. Good night, Mr. Liburd. There's a popular song in St. Christopher where this palace for the governor went from $11 to $22 million. Well, we have to remember that RLB House went from $4 to $8 million. We are now calling on Flo to bring back double bubble, top up, so we can top up 10 and get 20, reads this email. This other email reads, Patches, I had to laugh today when I heard July said to the press they need to report accurate information. If the press is getting accurate information from July, how are they going to report it when all they're getting from July at his press conferences are a bunch of lies and misinformation? Patches, these opposition parties are too quiet and passive. With all this crap that's going on in our country, there are plenty of things to bring to the people's attention. Don't wait till election time. The time is now. Start working to earn people's vote, reads this email. And I go back to the line and I perhaps take maybe 2 more callers. Caller, if you're there, I want to thank you for holding you alive. Hello, caller?
Yes, my brother, I am here.
Oh, you're still
Yes,
there.
my
Thank you,
brother,
sir.
I am here. And this is Mr. Welcome again. I'm going to weigh in because I actually was listening about this palace, ECCB palace. Now, look at the unfairness. And I hope every Kitishan is listening because they are sleeping. And once make a comment, we could take up St. Kitts, or anyone could take up St. Kitts and Nevis and take it to the North Pole and leave it there for 1 week. Due to the fact that Kittitians are sleeping and not paying attention, they will not notice that St. Kitts has been moved and come back. So they are not paying attention to what's going on. And we out here, sometimes we hear misinformation and we weighing on it. We are fighting for you all, for the good and the better moving forward. But look at the class of people and the heart of people. And by the way, let me just stick a pin right here. What is where this money is financing for this palace? Is it from generated funds from the taxpayers in St. Kitts and Nevis, or
well,
it was a grant?
The central bank generates profit from the transactions. The central banks to generate profit. They unlend to the commercial banks at what they call a discount rate. So they make their own money. And when the profits are shared amongst the ECCU members at each year once there's a profit.
Okay. All right, I got that. Well, I always hear the Bible man reiterate, blessed is the man that consider the poor. And you know the rest of it they are reading. If the development bank can generate this amount of money and the life of individual Kitishan and division is so hard, and you hear the introduction of can't even buy a sardine, and to survive and to sustain food and anything else come after, could have granted the people of St. Kitts some kind of contribution to offset the hardship? Are we talking about money? Because 20 million. And that mansion, how much people going to live in it? What is going to go on in there? Look, God gave all of us a space on this earth, and it's only for a time. And when our time is up, there is no rejection. And like the Bible man said again, blessed is the man who considereth the poor. Why don't these people consider the poor of St. Kitts and Nevis? And to call the word poor, we should not be poor. We should be going on well. Ability. But thank you. I know when you
yes,
give me the alarm.
I'm out of time.
Tasha, I heard you. And thank you.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Thanks for your understanding. I'm really out of time. You know, I've really
I respect it.
Quite liberal. I don't really be hard pressed on, you know, on giving you a certain time, but I always allow you to make your points. I enjoy them. But as we wrap tonight's program in my Street Dog family, the quotation that was advanced tonight, honesty has the power that few people can deal with. Some say that few people can handle. And some people can't handle the truth as well. And we need transparency. We need sunlight. The best disinfectant is sunlight, some people would say. And in our thesis tonight, palaces for kings, not for the ECCB governor, we asked several questions. How did the budget balloon from $7 million to $22 million? How could this have evaded the current monetary council or monetary councils before, comprised of ministers of finance? There was a forensic audit done, which I posted on your monitors. A forensic audit done by Williams Architecture, my Street Dog family, and gives you the reasons and the background for this audit. And we asked many questions. Is Victor Williams still the owner of Williams Architecture? The questions that come to the fore as well. We asked, is Victor Williams the project manager for the construction of the said ECCB Governor's Palace? Is he the project manager? But if he is, then there must be a conflict of interest for him to do this forensic audit. Is this the same Victor Williams who was chairman of the Development Control and Planning Board, that at which time or when that house was built on the beach in Frigate Bay? These are questions we ask. Is this the same Victor Williams who is the project manager for the R.L. Bradshaw Museum project, which moved from $4 million to a cost we have not been able to establish? Some say $8 million. We don't know. Is this the same Victor Williams who is the project manager for the new smart hospital project? Is he? Is this the same Victor Williams, the project manager for the East Coast Housing Development Project? Is he? We ask the question, what is the relationship between Victor Williams and the Prime Minister Terence Michael July? But we'll end with the ECCB Governor's Palace and ask ourselves, why was there need for a forensic audit? As we know it, such an audit is required, or is a specialized examination of financial records and operations, often aimed at identifying fraud, misconduct, or financial irregularities. But there had to be reasons why the ECCB undertook a forensic audit. My Street Dog family. Was there any detection of fraud or financial mismanagement? What about legal compliance and risk mitigation? What about internal controls and process improvement? What role did the Board of Directors and the Council of Ministers play or did not play? But reputation has been damaged. What about salvage and further protection of the ECCB's reputation? What about the governor's reputation? A career civil servant, an economist. And straight talk will not judge Timothy Antoine, I said before, save and except to say that to err is human. But who are we to judge Antoine? As each of us must appear before the judgment seat of Christ and may be recompensed for the things we have done. But Comrade Ralph Gonzalez, in his letter, advocated for the removal of the governor. His letter was leaked, and he failed to discuss the matter publicly last night. He said this:
government involves knowing when to do certain things in the public space and when not to do them in the public space. These are matters of judgment. If I wanted that matter to be ventilated, publicly in relation to any issue as alleged, I would have already done a public ventilation.
Well, his letter is in the public. Although he publicly confirmed the truth of the whole story, as he put it, the veracity of the whole story, to use his words, the excessive price tag of the governor's palace, he called it. He said this as well.
It is true that there is a dwelling which is being built by the governor, built for the governor, built by the central bank for the governor, where the price tag is wholly excessive and does not reflect a particular level of prudence. And that is a matter on which I was recently advised, and it's a matter on which I have engaged my colleagues, and it is a matter which I am hopeful would be resolved in a manner which is satisfactory for the people of the currency union and also very much the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Well, if Dr. July believes that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis should have no interest in this matter, then he is politically naive. So meanwhile, Straight Talk submits that palaces are for kings, not the ECCB governor. And that's my story tonight, my Straight Talk family, and I am not going to change it. I must thank Almighty God, nonetheless, for guiding our conversation tonight. As always, I must thank you, the many listeners, the viewers, those of you who called and those of you who sent emails, those of you who just sat back, had a cocktail, and looked at your television screens. Remember, you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patches Liburd, and God's Spear, we will connect on Monday for another edition of Straight Talk. Until then, be good to yourselves. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Go to the beach. Remember, you can't get to the beach on Frigate Bay down by the house. Someone has occupied the beach there. But go to church. I'm going to church, the Zion Moravian Church up on Victoria Road. If you can't find a church, you're welcome to Zion. But until we connect, remember that whatever your mind conceive, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. And my Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Monday.
In the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of